everybody, Cantonese Cat here again. Gonna go through some new updates. You mentioned, you remember I mentioning about the 2-day Ichimoku cloud, how it was really served as pretty good resistance and support for a very long time, right? So this is the 2-day Ichimoku cloud. It got pretty close to that as support on top of the cloud. And then, around late 2023, it then eventually breaking underneath of that and served as resistance for a couple of times before it broke back above. And then before that, we bounced right at the bottom of the 2-day Ichimoku cloud. Before that, we bounced from the top of the 2-day Ichimoku cloud. And that was really the, start of the bull market, right? During the bear market, the 2-day Ichimoku cloud also was very, very important as resistance. You see there was like pretty strong resistance right there, and it was also very strong resistance right there. It's also very strong resistance up here as well. As it broke down underneath, it back tested as resistance and failed to hold and kept on going further, right? Over here, same thing, broke underneath of it, back tested it, failed, right? So I do think that the 2-day Ichimoku cloud may mean something. I don't know what exactly it is that makes the 2-day Ichimoku cloud to be acting like this, but I do think that it might mean something. Now, you're talking about the 2-day Ichimoku cloud. What's happening right now? Well, we broke into the cloud just about a couple weeks ago, and as we broke underneath the cloud, we tried to back test and try to break back above the cloud. We failed to do so far a few days ago, and what ends up happening? Well, we have a little bit of a rejection, and we end up going down. Right? What's price going to end up doing if that's the case? What's going to end up happening is probably that you're going to have price going the path of least resistance, probably going to go to the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud. Where's the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud right now? The bottom of the Ichimoku cloud right now is around 58,000. So could it potentially hit 58,000? And that would be, kind of where it finds support and just goes a lot higher. That's certainly a possibility. That would be something that would be a very, very similar look as what it did over here, right? Where it just kind of hit the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud after trying to, after it broke below, tried to back test the top, failed to break through, and then eventually touched the bottom, and that's when it bounced up a lot higher. We might be at a similar area where that could potentially happen, although there's no confirmation. It ends up breaking underneath the 2-day Ichimoku cloud, and don't worry about it, right? I mean, this whole thesis is just a hypothesis. There's no guarantee that this is going to work out. But it's just interesting to me. I think 58,000 could potentially be an area where you might end up bouncing from, right? And I just wanted to show you that, and also want to show you a couple other things too. I'm going to change this to a weekly chart here. And if I do this, if you look at the Bollinger support band, it's broken underneath of it. That never really bothers me all that much because price can be underneath the Bollinger support band for a little period of time. And it could still end up having bullish continuation. A lot of really bullish stocks like Palantir has done that for weeks, so that doesn't really bother me. What I really like to look at is more on the EMA ribbon on the weekly. The EMA ribbon consists of 20-week EMA and also 50-week EMA. And as long as it doesn't really break down too far, like to the bottom of the ribbon, as long as it doesn't really get to like the 50-week EMA, I still think that this looks very, very nice. Look, the ribbon's very, very thick, right? So you can tell that the bull market is still relatively strong, unless if it breaks down and really hits the bottom of this ribbon over here. If it goes down to hit like 51 K, or even goes through that and hit like 48K to back test this previous resistance over here as support around 58K, I actually would worry a little bit more that the bull market may be really truly exhausted, rather than this being just like a sideways few months move before more explosive move going up forwards. If it hits the bottom of the EMA ribbon, I'd actually be a little bit more worried about that this bull market may be exhausting. The reason why is because you look at the bear market. How did the bear market end in early 2023? Well, you have a lot of strong momentum trying to push to the top of the EMA ribbon, right? Which is different from the, trying to push on the bottom for a trend change. Over here, a bear market, it hits the top of the ribbon, and that's when you really are allowing to go a lot higher. And then previously, with this bull market from like 2020, 2021, how did it end? Well, it ended, first of all, with price broken underneath the EMA ribbon over here. eventually was able to somehow find support and bounce up, but then the trend was already kind of exhausting. And then it broke down again, and as soon as it broke down again, back tested, failed to hold, had a little bit of a false breakout, and that's when price just kind of went plummeted, right? So I would actually be a little bit worried if price gets to like around 51K or even 48K. I would actually be pretty worried about the trend exhaustion. So same thing, like if you look at the previous trend change, same thing, right? As long as it hits the top of the EMA ribbon, that's when you have a trend change. And then even the bull market for 2017, you can see that right around 2018 it broke into the EMA ribbon, right? Whereas before that, it never really breaks inside, maybe a little bit of a wick to the bottom of the EMA ribbon over here around like August of 2016, but it never really broke like into the ribbon and stayed into the ribbon, and it just kept on going up and up until you really break inside the ribbon, and that's when you really start to have a little bit of trend exhaustion, right? So I guess there are two ways to kind of think about it. One way is whether or not the bull market is over. There's no way to tell for sure, although I lean towards that it is not. Then there are like about top 10 reasons as to why I don't think Bitcoin has topped. But I just want to show you like there's still a lot of support now. Bitcoin can do anything it wants to. It can end up breaking down to like 51K, 50K, 48K, or it can end up breaking up to like 70K, 80K from here. Nobody really knows for sure, but right now we are still at some pretty important support. And if it ends up breaking down underneath of it, then so be it, right? We have to reassess, right? But that's also part of the reason, like whenever price just went from like 25K or 20K all the way, pushing all the way up to like 70 something K, you're going to end up being punished either by price correction and by time. I think if anything, we've been end up getting punished by time more than price. And currently we're just trying to find some support. We'll see whether or not it holds, and those would be some of the important numbers that I'm looking at. A couple other important numbers to look at too. If I'm going to turn off the EMA ribbon and just pull up the Bollinger Band, you can see the bottom of the Bollinger Band right now is getting pretty close to where price is, and the bottom of the Bollinger Band right now is if the actual number is going to be around 56.6K, right? So presumably it can wick down to 56.6K, or it can wait for next week for lower Bollinger Band to rise up maybe to around 58,000 or so. It can confluence with the bottom of the 2-day Ichimoku cloud and bounce from there and go up a lot higher. The Bollinger Band is squeezing, so a bigger move is coming. It's been mostly forming higher highs and higher lows over the last year and a half or so. So I do think that most likely we're going to end up getting a bullish continuation, although things are looking a little bit more scarier in it. We did break underneath the bull market support band, so we don't have that in our favor, although we still have a pretty thick EMA ribbon underneath of it. But I think it's still not anything that scary, because sometimes you just have to, whenever things get a little bit overextended, we just have to kind of touch the bottom of the Bollinger Band before going up higher, like it did over here, and like it did over here. So it's not too concerning for me that it's doing that, although this is a different behavior from the previous bull cycles, because once things really get going, it generally doesn't necessarily have to touch the low Bollinger Band. But we will see. I mean, we're still early in the week, we're still early in the month, and we still have a lot of supports underneath, so we'll see. But I do want to be a little bit more cautious in case if things end up breaking down real fast into 51,000 range. I will be a lot more cautious when it comes to Bitcoin, and that's just wanted me to share my thoughts real quick. I'm not necessarily bearish on it, but hey, I gotta share with you what I think, right? Anyway, take care, bye.